I was deleting Tinder for, I don't know, the 10th time this year. And a question hit me that wasn't the usual one. What am I doing with my life? It was something deeper. It was why. Why does this feel like a second job, badly paid and designed by a psychopath? And it seems I'm not the only one. It turns out that love, or at least the digital search for it, is in the middle of a stock market crash. Bumble's stock, for example, has dropped more than 90% since it went public. Match Group, the Goliath, owner of Tinder, Hinge, and pretty much any other app where you've swiped your finger, isn't having its best moment either. People, especially Generation Z, are falling out of love en masse with dating apps. A recent Forbes health survey revealed a figure that should set off all the alarms in Silicon Valley. 79% of young people surveyed said they felt exhausted, completely burned out by dating apps. The situation is so desperate that the companies themselves have started launching marketing campaigns that seem straight out of a parody. Bumble, for example, was harshly criticized for ads that basically tried to shame women for not wanting to date, a marketing strategy as subtle as proposing marriage on the first date. This is light years away from the utopia we were promised a decade ago. A world where finding your soulmate was just a swipe away. No one imagined we would end up here, with subscriptions costing $500 a month, which seem more like a pension plan than a gateway to romance. So, how did we get to this point? How did we go from the promise of endless connection to a monetized pit of frustration? The answer isn't simple, but I assure you it's fascinating. It's not just about bad luck or that people aren't like they used to be. It's a systemic failure. A perfectly engineered collapse that we can understand if we break down the 5 layers of this catastrophe. And believe me, once you understand the game, you'll never look at a match the same way again. The first thing to understand is that the decline of these apps is a symptom of a much larger disease affecting all of technology. There's a term for this coined by the writer Cory Doctorow which, although it sounds crude, is painfully accurate. It's called shitification. We could translate it as crapification, or more elegantly, as the programmed degradation of a service. It's the phenomenon by which online platforms, over time, deliberately worsen the quality of their service to squeeze more money out of their users and providers. It's a pattern we've seen everywhere. Airbnb started out as the promise of authentic and affordable accommodation, and now you end up paying $200 in cleaning fees for an apartment where you're not even allowed to breathe too loudly after 10 p.m. The most ridiculous example was when BMW tried, in 2022, to make you pay a monthly subscription to activate the heated seats that were already installed in your car. Dating apps, as tech companies, are not immune to this process. Their enshitification shows up in their obsession with subscriptions. Did you know that Tinder doesn't have just 1 but 3 different subscription options, in addition to its ultra-exclusive $500 a month plan? They seem more like insurance policies than an app to meet people. This obsession with subscriptions has turned the user experience into something that increasingly resembles a gacha game. Those mobile games that entice you to spend real money on loot boxes, hoping to get a rare character. In fact, Tinder even launched its own virtual currency within the app, so you could buy perks, which supposedly increase your chances of finding love. It's as if love were an epic item that you can only get if you pay for more tries at the slot machine. But this degradation is only the beginning of the problem. The real poison enters the system when they apply casino psychology to your love life. And that takes us straight to the second level of this disaster. This shift toward a predatory business model is no accident. It's called gamification. The implementation of game mechanics in an environment that isn't a game. And in the world of dating. It's the art of hijacking your brain's reward circuits to keep you hooked. It's not a coincidence. The current CEO of Match Group, Tinder's parent company, is named Bernard Kim. Before running the dating empire, he was president of Zynga. If the name doesn't ring a bell, Zynga is the company responsible for all those addictive, mindless mobile games like Farmville, the ones your aunts wouldn't stop sending you Facebook invites for. Bernard Kim didn't come to help you find love. He came to apply the same tactics that get people to harvest virtual strawberries at 3 in the morning to your search for a partner. The goal of gamification isn't to provide you with a good service, but to generate engagement, to keep you active on the platform. They achieve this through something called variable ratio reward, the same principle that makes slot machines so addictive. You never know when you'll get a match, the reward. So you keep swiping, pulling the lever, hoping the next one will be the winner. Each match gives you a small hit of dopamine, just strong enough to keep you playing, but almost never satisfying enough to make you stop. It's as if Cupid had traded his bow and arrow for a loot box. Boxes. Maybe you'll get true love. Or maybe you'll get 5 duplicate stickers of a guy who, in every photo, is posing with a fish. And of course, when you turn love into a game, the savviest users start looking for tricks and hacks to win. On TikTok, there's a whole universe of people sharing hinge hacks, like threatening to delete your account so the algorithm gives you more visibility, or using AI assistants to create an optimized profile. The problem is that winning the game doesn't necessarily make you a better partner, just a better player. And when an ecosystem fills up with players who exploit the rules, those who play fair get tired and leave. Which brings us to the next level of the catastrophe, the disaster economy. This is where a fascinating economic concept comes into play, called adverse selection, popularized by economist George Akerlof in his study of the used car market, known as the market for lemons. The theory is simple. In a market where the seller knows much more about the quality of the product than the buyer, like with used cars or surprise dating profiles, low-quality products, the lemons tend to drive out the good quality ones. Imagine you're going to buy a used car. There are good cars and there are lemons that will break down within a week. Since you can't tell them apart, you're not willing to pay the price of a good car, so you offer an average price. The sellers of good cars, seeing that they can't get a fair price, they withdraw their cars from the market. In the end, the market ends up filled almost exclusively with lemons. Now replace cars with people on a dating app. A new app launches, and hopeless romantics and well-intentioned people flock to it. But so do the liars, those just looking for something superficial, the lemons. Over time, honest people have a series of bad dates, encounter deceptive profiles, and get frustrated. Just like the good cars, the good catches leave the app disillusioned. What's left? An ecosystem where distrust is the norm and the lemons run wild. This is made worse by demographics. On apps like Tinder, men outnumber women by a ratio of 3-to-1, creating an unbalanced and cutthroat environment. It's like going to a farmer's market and finding out that 90% of the tomatoes are plastic. After biting into 3, you stop trusting the tomatoes, assume they're all fake, and go home to eat a frozen pizza. The companies know this. They know perfectly well that their product, that is, the quality of their user base, is rotting from the inside. And their supposed solution is, ironically, what makes everything worse and leads us straight into the fourth layer of dating hell. The solution that the apps propose to all these problems they themselves have created is, of course, to charge you. This is the vicious cycle of monetization. Feel like no one is seeing your profile? Buy a boost to jump to the front of the line. Frustrated that you don't know who liked you? Pay for Tinder Gold to reveal your secret admirers. Tired of the poor quality of your matches? Unlock advanced filters with Hinge Plus so you can look for someone who, at the very least, knows what a book is. They're creating artificial friction just to sell you the lubricant. It's a business model that's brilliant in its malice. They sell you the cure for the disease they themselves gave you. Think about it for a second. The first versions of these apps were much more transparent. OkCupid, before it was bought by Match Group, was based on a system of questions and compatibility. It made you answer at least 25 questions about politics, religion, values, and so on. And you could see your compatibility percentage with another person. The more information you shared, the better your matches were. The problem? It worked too well. If people found a partner quickly, they deleted the app. And for a publicly traded company, a satisfied customer who leaves is a lost customer. Their ideal business model isn't for you to find love, but for you to almost find it over and over again. They want you to get enough matches so you don't delete the app out of frustration, but not good enough to delete it because of success. It's a perfect trap. The free product is designed to be just dysfunctional enough. Just enough for you to consider paying. And the paid product gives you the tools to navigate the chaos that the free product has created. It's as if your car came from the factory with square wheels, but for a modest monthly fee. They offer to make them round, one at a time. Meanwhile, the quality of the general service keeps plummeting because the incentive isn't to improve the ecosystem, but to sell more individual survival tools. And with all this, the final blow isn't economic or technological. It's purely psychological. This brings us to the last layer, the most desolate one, the algorithmic mirage and existential fatigue. After weeks, months, or even years of swipes, conversations that go nowhere, and disappointments, people come to a dangerous conclusion. They generalize their experience on the app and project it onto society as a whole. They start to think that this is just how people are these days, that everyone is superficial, non-committal, or dishonest. But this is an illusion, a mirage created by the algorithm. The app doesn't show you an accurate representation of reality. It shows you a filtered and optimized version designed to keep you hooked. It's like trying to understand society by only reading YouTube comments. You'd go out into the street wearing a hazmat suit. The algorithm isn't optimized for your happiness. It's optimized for engagement. Its goal is to keep you coming back. To do this, it will show you extremely attractive profiles that will probably never match with you, just to keep your hope alive. Then it will show you profiles you're not interested in at all, so you keep swiping. It creates an emotional roller coaster of validation and rejection that keeps you glued to the screen. We think we're watching a real-life documentary about the single people in our city, but in reality, we're watching a Michael Bay movie, edited by an algorithm with social anxiety. It's all explosions, attractive people out of our league, and a nonsensical script that's just trying to keep you in your seat. This constant cycle of hope and frustration is what leads to that 79% burnout rate. It's not just tiredness, it's existential exhaustion. The promise of technology was to simplify the search for love. But instead, it has turned it into an exhausting, dehumanizing job, and for many, a deeply lonely one. So, what are we left with? The good news is that people are responding in the most effective way possible. They're voting with their feet, or rather, with their thumbs. The massive exodus from these platforms and the drop in their stock prices show that the model has reached its limit. People are going back to seeking connections in the real world, in running clubs, in pottery classes. Anywhere that isn't mediated by an algorithm designed to sell you a super like. The fall of dating apps doesn't mean the end of love, but perhaps the rebirth of the organic search for it. It means that people are choosing to create their own alternatives, spaces where connection isn't gamified or monetized. But the question remains in the air. Have you felt this burnout we're talking about? What was the most surreal experience you've had on one of these apps? By the way, this degradation of a service that was once revolutionary isn't exclusive to dating apps. It's a pattern that repeats itself over and over again. And if you want to see how exactly the same thing happened to another giant company that promised to connect the world and ended up charging you absurd cleaning fees for a couch, a bed, you have to watch my video about the fall of Airbnb. I assure you, the story is going to sound very, very familiar.